Because the sun, as the sun grows, gets purified, then lengthens. And here we have Lent, where we eat fish, the 40 days of Lent from this cross-quarter day, February the 1st, Groundhog's Day, to the equinox, or there's 40 days in there, and that is Lent. It's short for lengthen, because the sun is lengthening, and then bang, equal. And then you've got longer days, shorter nights, instead of shorter days, longer nights, down here. So everybody hates this. This is the accursed. This is hell. In Italian, inverno is pretty much sounds like inferno to me. Just one letter changed, the V and the F. Inverno, inferno. Inverno is down here. This is summer. Summer is the paradise. This is the green paradise that we all wait for. And remember, the blossom is here, bang, the sperm of the sun, and it produces fruit. And then it's harvested in the virgin, and then it's preserved so that we... You see, so this teaches, this is an ethic. As the sun conquers, so do we. What do we conquer? Well, we activate our 7 powers and turn our vices into virtues. Bang, bang, bang. We get out of the 3 bottom chakras: survival, sex, and what's the other one? Power, right? This is where your George Bushes would have to be, wouldn't they? Halliburton, we're going to kick your butt, rack. And then we come into the middle one, the sun, ruled by the sun, the heart chakra. And we wake up and Jesus is knocking on the door, and we open the door and share an evening meal. That's what it's talking about. When it knocks here. When you hear that knocking, when you hear the calling, see there's 3 types of people on the planet. The captive, the chosen, the called, and the chosen. The captive are the herd. The herd. That's what Parmenides called the captives in his poem. He had a beautiful poem. He was the contemporary of Pythagoras, and he said, I looked upon the herd. Back then, in the Bronze Age, there was a herd. Imagine now, in the Iron Age. They're the captives. They're in jail. Then they get called. Someone knocks, you know, the higher mind starts to awaken, and you start going, hey, yeah, it's not like I've been told. It's not like I've been told. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong. Leonardo da Vinci, genius or not? Yeah, genius, okay. If you find from your own experience that something is a fact and it contradicts what some authority has written down, then you must abandon the authority and base your reasoning on your own findings. Anyway, look, I won't read that because I want to move on. It's in here, it's beautiful. Where he says, and the cup has been placed here because as the souls descend, they drink of intoxication. And that's why there is opinion about the divinity. This church says he's angry, this church says he's loving, another church says he's Jewish, another church says he's whatever. Opinion. Because they drank too much of that cup. That's what it says. They said some drink more than others. The cup of intoxication. It's worth reading. It's Scipio's Dream. It's only 10 pages, the original of that. So there's the cup. Now, in the book of Revelation, there's what's described. That's how the Lord God is described. Right? Pay attention to this, because there are 7 features, and it's describing Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. All right? Let me read that. Okay, so in the first chapter of Revelation, John describes the Lord. He sees the Lord, and that's that image. You see the sword coming out of the mouth? That's Mars. Mars always carries a sword. Mars is over here with Perseus too. Mars rules Aries. Sword is there, man, to conquer the darkness. Mars conquers the darkness every morning at 6 a.m. and every springtime. That's the sword. The grey hair, that's good old Kronos. Old man Kronos. He's got the grey hair. It's funny, we're talking about God as a bloke, as a he, gender, and yet he has a girdle about his bosom, about his paps. Why would you have a girdle around you like a bra? Oh, well, that's Venus. Anyway, look, I'll read it from the Bible. And I turned around to see who had spoken to me. And when I turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and surrounded by them, a figure like a son of man. So it's definitely identified as a man. Dressed in a long robe, tied at the waist with a golden girdle, tied at the paps, is what most versions say. His head and his hair were white as white wool or as snow. His eyes like a burning flame. His feet like burnished bronze when it has been refined in the furnace. And his voice like the sound of an ocean. In his right hand he was wielding 7 stars. Would they be the planets that dominate the 7 days of the week? Sunday, the sun; Monday, the moon; Saturn day for Saturn, etc. They're the 7 stars. Out of his mouth came a sharp sword, double-edged, and his face was like the sun shining with all its force, because it was the sun. You see, this guy, the guy who wrote the book, James, I think his name is James Price, James M. Price, in the 1800s, and he had this image, and I had to copy it and share it with you today, because it exposes there what the book of Revelation is all about. The book of Revelation is an initiation, and that's what's happening to you guys today. You're getting an initiation in the holy doctrine. This is the hidden manna, the hidden knowledge, the da'at of the Kabbalistic tree, the 11th pseudo-sephira. You open knowledge, as Walter Russell said in his book, knowledge, science is the one that will get you to the kingdom of heaven. See, science and knowledge are one and the same word. Scienza, in my language, conoscenza, it's the same word. You see, we think it's like you've got to study in a university, that's science. No, science is knowledge. Kronos, the white hair of Hori. Zeus, Jupiter, the blazing eyes of wide seeing. The keen sword of Ares, Mars. The shining face of Ilios, the sun. The chiton and girdle of Aphrodite, Venus. The swift feet of Hermes, Mercury, Hermes. Hermes is Hermes. The wave-murmuring voice of Selene. Selene, Magdalene, Mary Magdalene. Anything with a Helen is the moon in all the mythologies. So Selene is the moon, the Alpha and the Omega, the 7 vowels. A, E, I, O, U and O. Now, here's an interesting fact that's going to blow your mind. I was getting to that, and boy, I sure did deviate, didn't I? Remember Nisan 14 over here? All right. Nisan 17 is 3 days after Nisan 14, which is basically the crossing at the equator, the holy day, the equinox, the one and only holy day, the beginning of the sine wave, the beginning of everything. There, right there. Nisan 17 happens right here, okay? Guess what has happened on that day? Noah lands on Mount Ararat on Nisan 17. His boat that he made, Nisan 17, bang, crashes on Mount Ararat. Jesus ascends to heaven on Nisan 17, and the Israelites come out of the Red Sea on Nisan 17. Check it out. Check it out, because that is busted. That one, you want to learn that one, you might want to read this book. This guy's great. He's got 6 books on Amazon. They're all about $5 each. And he's got the best astrotheology. His name is Malik H. Jabbar. So, yeah, he's probably Egyptian. The Egyptians know their stuff, man. They know the astrotheology. Check out some of the great, like Ahmed Osman. Check out his works. How he explains how, when you're reading the Bible about Moses and Jesus and all these characters, go to the 18th dynasty of Egypt and you'll find all the characters there. Because what the ruling current empire does is it grabs the mythologies from the skies and brings them down to earth and applies it to the ruling dude. Like Julius Caesar is Jesus Christ. Rome borrowed the Jesus story and made it historical to suit Rome, to gather taxes. How do I know this? Well, let's see what the Oracle of Delphi has to say. Plutarch, one of the most prolific writers of the first century. He wrote 84 books, right? I'm going to read from there and show how he had to debunk a guy called Ephemeris for doing this, for going around making mythologies and placing them on the earth so that the silly Greeks believed that Hercules was a man. And the silly Egyptians started to believe that Osiris was actually a man, and Plutarch ridicules him. He says, well, there's a tomb for Osiris in Memphis, there's one in Thebes, there's one in they're all over the place because they think that he walked the earth. Osiris didn't walk the earth. When Osiris gets cut up into 14 different, his body gets cut up into 14 different pieces, right? Well, there are 14 lunar mansions above the equator, and there are 14 lunar mansions below the equator. So the moon is Isis here, but she is her sister, her dark sister, Nephthys, over here. And so she has to collect the 14 pieces, the 14 houses below, when Osiris, because Osiris dies here, the sun is Horus over here at the horizon, Ra at the radiant, royal, regal position at 12 o'clock midday, summer, Set when it sets, or you can call him Atum, which is autumn, the fall, autumn, Set, sunsets, Atum, autumn, and then he's called Osiris in the tomb, and he's black. Of course, because Saturn is black. Saturn rules here, down in winter. Osiris rules, that's the tomb. And in the Bible, when Jesus resurrects Lazarus, well, that would be Lasirus, because it's an Aramaic version of the Egyptian story of Osiris, where the sun says, Osiris, come out of the tomb, and he is born as his son, Horus, the son of Osiris, on the horizon every day. That's the tomb, the Red Sea, Hades, Tartarus. It's all there. I'll just read from Plutarch in a minute. I'm flying along. I know quite a few of you, I can see, are sort of like going... It's a big download of information, but as I said, you can look over the video in your... Just cruise along with this, you know. Don't worry about taking notes and everything, because you... But just cruise along with it, and it'll when you watch the video, then you'll remember all these points. They're good points. I've tried to put them all together on a schedule, and I'm sticking to the schedule too, by the way. All right, so don't think I've gone on too many tangents here. We're going to get through what I promise we'll get through. We will bust the law, the religion, and the science. The science is great. He says here, I hesitate lest this thing... This is the first century, right? He writes nothing about Jesus. Nothing. And there's a lot of silence. I'm going to show this. A lot of science. A lot of historians around the time. There is not a shred of extra-biblical evidence written down to prove that Jesus was historical. Did you know that? There's not a shred. Nothing. Not under this sun. You want to go to another place to find it? Good luck. And if there was, you would think that the Catholic Church would own it and display it at the Vatican before the eyes of all inquiring minds. But they can't, because there ain't none. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you how Tacitus... You see, churchgoers say, oh, Tacitus mentioned Jesus, therefore he existed. Josephus, Pliny the Younger, and Suetonius.